Okay, awesome. All right. So, as I said, lying down on your backs. Big stretch, big breath. Let's grab onto our left wrist and we're going to pull over to the right side. And take some really nice big deep breaths here as you are doing this. I want you to stretch and open up the left side of your body. You can take your left ankle and cross it as well if you like. And just try to relax your jaw as you're doing this. Take an extra breath. Breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your nose if you can. Pardon me. Let's stay here for just a couple seconds longer, pulling on your left wrist, curving your body, opening up your intercostal muscles that are in between the rib cage. The rib bones come all the way back to center, and just relax for a moment in neutral before you grab your wrist and start going on the other side. So maybe just shake out your feet. Nice big breath, and let's go for it on the other side. So grab your right wrist and begin to pull, and now we're going to open up this side of the body. Lots of big deep breaths here. So you're trying to breathe in and out through your nose, but if that is not available, especially at the beginning of your practice, then breathe however you can, but I want you to be taking big breaths. Let's take the right ankle and cross it over. And so just like before, you're kind of pushing outward into that, the right hip. Feel this nice bend in the body, a nice curve, opening up, stretching open, and come all the way back, uncrossing the ankle. Keep your arms over your head still just a little bit longer. We're going to interlace the fingers and press the palms away. Maybe even sparkle your toes a little bit. You can kind of pulse them out, squeeze and release them. Big breath. And then release. Bring your arms away from the body. I want you to stretch them away from the body. First with the palms facing up. And just think about trying to pull the shoulders back, snuggle your shoulder blades into the ground a little bit more. So you're sort of adjusting. You're getting comfortable here. Trying to relax through the ribs, right? The ribs might want to pop up. You're just trying to pull them in. And then let's turn our head from side to side. And we'll do this maybe between 4 and 6 times. It kind of depends on how fast you're going. But I definitely recommend going nice and slow, of course, because you want to see the impact that you're getting and see with each turn of your head if you're able to get a little bit more of that side of the head on the ground. So you're breathing in, breathing out. When you've completed, 2 to 3 times on either side, just come back to center. And then open up your mouth nice and wide, and we're going to roll that bottom jaw around. I want you to try to get any tightness out. So you're going to sort of hinge the jaw, feeling it maybe going up into the sides of your head. Hopefully it feels good, right? You can feel some tension release happening. Make a face, make funny faces. You're in your own space right now. It's not like you're in a room full of people and everybody's staring at you. Not that that would ever happen anyways if you're in a yoga class in real life, which we will get back to at some point, of course. Nobody ever looks at anyone else. Everybody thinks that they are, but everyone's engaged with themselves always. All right, so softening your jaw, relaxing everything, and now I want you to take your hands and you're going to flip them. So you're going to turn your palms to face down. Now, interesting to note how this feels. You might have noticed before that maybe one arm was kind of up in the air a little bit. You weren't able to reach. See how this feels with the palms facing down. Are you able to extend through both arms? What's going on with your shoulders? Does one side feel higher? Do you have an injury where it makes it difficult to do this? Just make note. See if you can snuggle yourself in a little bit. Once again, with the shoulder blades kind of pressing into the mat. Nice big deep breath. So we're just comparing the sides of the body, but we're also trying to open up here by stretching, stretching, stretching. If it makes sense for you here and you want to turn your head from side to side one more time just to see how it feels and incorporate that stretch again, then go for it. And then let's just release. We're going to take the arms and I want you to wrap them around your body. You're going to give yourself a big hug. This is the first stage in warming you up. Warm your body up by giving yourself a nice big hug. You're going to reach around. Nice big deep breath. You can feel the arms rising with your breath, and then we'll open up the arms and you're just going to switch which arm was on top. So just switching, reversing which arm. Another big breath. Warming up your body and release. A little bit of love. Love to warm you up. Let's bend both of our knees in and we're going to start to move around with the lower half of the body. So you can pull them in and start to rock if that feels good. Doing whatever movement makes sense. Maybe you want to hold your legs in and you're in more static position. As you start to do this and you start to feel like you're opening up a tiny bit, or at least you're getting aware of what it feels like, start to maybe pull your knees wider apart. You're going to get a deeper stretch in the hips. Feel your back stretching out. Let's take 2 more breaths. And then we're going to stretch both legs up in the air. So extending them up in the air, you can start to roll your ankles, squeeze and release your toes, roll them around, massage the backs of the legs. It's like you're ironing out all the wrinkles in the legs. You're oiling the squeaky parts, right? That's what we're doing right now. So just being aware of how this feels. And let's take 1 more breath, and we're going to bring our feet flat to the ground. And actually, what I'd like you to do is keep your left leg bent with your foot flat on the ground, and we're just going to stretch up the right leg. So extending the right leg up in the air only. This feels a little different now, right? When you've got this left leg bent. Maybe some of you keep your leg like this already because this is better for your back. But I just wanted to try it out a little differently today and just see what it feels like to push the foot into the ground as you perhaps draw the leg a little bit closer, really getting a big stretch. Remember, you can always have a bent knee, right? You do whatever your leg will allow. We'll just try this for just 1 more breath. And then we're going to take the ankle and cross it over the thigh. Here we are in a thread the needle. Take your right hand, push your knee away from you, intensifying the stretch. Make sure your sits bones are on the ground. Make sure your back is on the ground, head is on the ground. And then if you need a deeper stretch, if you can tolerate it, you're going to grab your left thigh and pull it toward you. So keep your right foot flexed always. That protects the knee, and we're just going to draw the legs in here for a few moments. We're just warming up, so this pose may not feel as accessible as it might, after you've been practicing for a period of time. So 1 more big breath and release. And this time, let's actually stretch both legs out onto the ground, and we'll shake them out. Just kind of shake them out. And then we're going to bend the right knee, foot is flat on the ground, and take the left leg and stretch it up in the air. And we'll play around with this leg a little bit. So just kind of seeing how it feels to have 1 foot planted on the ground while you elevate your leg. And maybe pull the leg closer towards you, bending the knee as needed. Maybe it's massively bent. It doesn't matter. If you feel it, you're doing it, right? And you're always listening to your own body and making sure that you have that balance while you're trying to push yourself a little bit, but you're also not trying to bring yourself into a position where you can't breathe, you feel, white hot pain, those are all warning signs. Definitely not being able to breathe when you're in a stretch. Okay, and let's take the ankle, cross it over the thigh. You're going to take your left hand, push the knee away, kind of check out how this feels. Make sure that your back is relaxed. You feel like you're connected to the ground. Your foot is flexed. And if you'd like, you can tolerate a deeper stretch. You're going to grab your right thigh. So we'll stay here a little bit longer. Just allowing the stretch to permeate into the muscles, getting into your glute muscle, getting into your hip, maybe stretching out your thigh and your knee. All sorts of things can be happening. And we'll take one more breath and release, stretching both legs out on the ground and just shake them out. So we've done some good, preliminary stretching here of the lower body, a little bit of the upper body. In terms of warming, I think doing some core work is always good for warming up the body, since we're doing a warm up the body or warm you up in this January Saturday type of yoga flow. So let's hover the knees over the hips. Take your hands, interlace them behind your head, and we're going to lift our head and shoulders up off of the ground. I want you to keep your elbows open, your throat is open, and let's just hold here for a count of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Keep your core pulled in. 4, 3, 2, 1. And now let's add in 10 pulses. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's hold here for another count of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we'll round it off with 10 pulses. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And bring your head and shoulders down and bring your knees into your chest. I'm hoping that felt like a little bit of warming. Let's bring our feet to the outside edges of the mat. Knees are bent, and just drop your legs from side to side. So this will serve as both a stretch of the core and into the back, but also of your legs. You can pull your arms away from the body if you'd like, just to sort of emphasize that stretch that's going up the torso. And coming back to center after you've done your last drop, bring your arms in, bring your feet hip distance apart. You want to have your heels just close enough that you can touch them with the tips of your fingers. We're going to do 3 bridge poses here. So hands are alongside the body, palms are flat, and lifting up your hips towards the ceiling. Nice big breath, and then just lower back down. So warming up the back a little bit, but a nice counter movement to the abdominal work that we just did. So inhale, lifting up, and exhale, lower back down. We'll do it a third time, and we'll hold here just for an extra breath. Inhale, lifting up, holding for an extra breath, breathing in right into the belly, and lower back down. Okay, let's bring the soles of our feet together. Let your knees open out to the sides. Take a couple seconds here to stretch. If your neck needs just a little bit of movement from what we just did when we lifted up our head, just stretch it out a little bit by turning your head from side to side. Okay, so we're going to do one more variation of bridge pose. I'm going to offer this up. Bring your feet flat to the ground. If it doesn't work for you, you can go back to doing the bridge pose that we just did. We're going to take our right ankle and cross it over the left thigh. So you're in thread the needle position that we just did, except this time we're going to lift our hips up. Inhale, lifting up. So we're in a bridge pose variation, and exhale, lower back down. Let's do that again. Inhale, lifting up. So nice hip strengthener here on the left side, and exhale, lower back down. One more time, really working here. Inhale, lifting up. We're going to hold for an extra breath. And lower back down. Okay, release. Maybe we'll just kind of drop the knees from side to side for a second just to clean the slate, so to speak, and then come back in, feet hip distance apart, and then we're going to take the left ankle, cross it over the thigh, get yourself set here, make sure your foot is flexed, hands alongside the body, inhale, lifting up, and lower back down. Inhale, lifting up, and lower back down. And we'll do one more. Inhale, lifting up, big breath, and lower back down. Release your leg. Bring your feet to the outside edges of the mat. You can drop your legs from side to side for just another second. And hug your knees into your chest. And give yourself another little massage on your back. We're going to get ready to roll up in a moment. But we'll just roll around on our spine. And if you feel like you want to go through that hugging again, because you know we're warming up the body, give yourself a hug in any variation that works for you. Hug, hug, hug. And from here, bring yourself all the way up and around, however you want to do that, coming up into a tabletop position, setting up with your hands underneath your shoulders, and we are going to start to move through some cat and some cows. So nice big breaths, rounding, hammocking, open up into the shoulders. Continue with these really delicious cat and cows. Pull your breath in through your nose, exhale it out through your nose. And I want you to really be aware right now of what it feels like to breathe and move together. It's very meditative. So as you've probably done a bunch of cat and cows right now, when you feel ready, you could start to push your hips from side to side and start to just twist a bit. Twist, push the hips, let your head hang, relax. Continuing to breathe deeply. And then from here, when you feel ready, if you feel ready, you can bring yourself up into downward facing dog. So lots of choice, as always. Stay in tabletop position if you'd like. Move into downward dog, oscillate between the two. It's all good, but we're going to stay here in downward dog. We're going to give ourselves about 30 seconds here to just really pedal out the legs. Sway your hips, shake out your head. Keep your fingers spread nice and wide. Your hands are shoulder distance apart. This is if you're in downward facing dog. Pressing down on your finger pads. So let's take 2 more breaths. And then we'll remind ourselves of a really good position that we can take at any time during our practice. Child's pose. Big toes touching, knees are apart. Sink your hips back and just sending your hips down towards your heels any amount that you can. You can keep your arms reaching forward. This gives you a nice couple seconds to come off of the wrists. Make fists with your hands and roll them out. Just give them a little stretch. Rolling them out. So from here, let's walk our hands over to the right side. And I actually want you, once you get to the right side, I want you to see if you can go even further over to the right. So it's like you're doing a sharp right turn, a really sharp right turn. Big, big stretch across the back. You're going to feel it in your left hip. So the sharpest right turn stretch that you possibly can do. And then we'll come over to the left. So starting first just more conservatively over to the left side. And then a really sharp left turn. Nice big breath. All right, coming back to center. You can stay here in tabletop as long as you'd like. Pardon me, in child's pose as long as you like. If not, we're going to come up into tabletop position. Take your right leg and send it back. Make sure that the hands are positioned underneath the shoulders. You're going to keep your core nice and strong. Your belly, your back is nice and strong. We worked on this area a little bit earlier, so it should be feeling nice and warm. Float your leg up, your right leg up if you'd like. Come up onto the fingers of your left hand, tenting your hand. You can stay like this or bring your left arm forward, holding here. A nice balance pose, a nice strengthening pose. We are going to stay here for a count of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you're still with me, we're going to take the elbow knee in to squeeze and release. And squeeze and release. 3 more. Squeeze and release. Squeeze and release. Last one. Squeeze and release. And then bring your hands down. And you can bring yourself back into wide knees child's pose, maybe making a nice little fist with your right hand that was bearing a lot of the weight and just stretching it out. Take just a second here, maybe shift your hips from side to side, and then we're going to come back up again. So hands positioned underneath the shoulders. Take your left leg and stretch it back. Remember, you can always stay at these points, right? When you feel ready, float your left leg up. Strong abdominals, strong back. Neck is nice and long, nice extension, right? And if you'd like, come up on the fingertips of your right hand, tented fingers. And then perhaps from here, you want to take your right arm and reach it forward. So here we go. Foot is flexed, reaching forward, reaching back for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And for a little bit more action, elbow to knee and reach out and squeeze in and reach out and squeeze in and reach out and squeeze in and reach out. Last one, squeeze in, reach out, and hand and knee back down and bring yourself back into child's pose. You can make a fist with your left hand and roll it around. Okay, nice big breath. Staying here as long as you need. Let's come up onto our knees. Let's curl the toes under. We're going to just sit back any amount that you can. If it's too much, you'll stay up higher. Interlace your hands behind your back. Take a nice stretch through the arms. Always good. You can turn the head from side to side. And we'll come back up. Bring your hands to the ground. Let's tap out the feet. Tap out the feet. Tap out the feet. And bring ourselves up into downward facing dog. So we're going to move around a little bit more. You know to stay in tabletop or into child's pose if that makes more sense for you. So, in the spirit of warming, let's float forward to a high plank. Keep your core nice and strong. You can always have your knees down. And then press back into downward dog. And float forward to a high plank. Press back into downward dog. Last time, float forward to a high plank. Holding here, nice and strong, and then we're going to lower ourselves down. You can bring your knees down or keep them raised. With control, lowering yourself down to the ground. Bring the tops of the feet to the mat, interlace your hands, nice big stretch. Reach the arms away from you, and then you can start to peel up through the chest as well. Maybe even float up through the legs. Keep your neck long. You're looking down the whole time. And then relax back down, bring your hands beside your low ribs, curl your toes under, and come back up into downward facing dog. And we'll take a couple little pedals here. So joining in downward dog when you're ready, we're going to take the right leg, reach it up in the air, bend the knee open. Step your foot up between your hands, come down on your left heel, bring yourself up into warrior two. So your right leg is bent. Your back foot is planted, your toes are coming in from the back edge of the mat. Right arm forward, left arm back, gazing over those front fingers. Sink down into your legs, really plant your feet. I want you to feel like you're ripping the mat apart with your feet. That's how engaged your legs are. We're warming up the body. Let's take another big breath. We're going to flip the right palm. Sweep back away from the bent knee. You can take your left hand, drape it behind your back if you'd like. Keep that bend in your front leg, holding here. Let's come back into warrior two. Take your right arm, rest it on the front thigh, reach over the ear with your left arm and open up your ribs towards the ceiling. Now, some of you know this pose quite well, and you can really have very little weight on your right arm. Take another breath. Come back up into Warrior Two. And then we're going to windmill the hands either side of the front foot. Step back into a high plank. Press back into Downward Dog. Float forward to a high plank. Press back into Downward Dog. Float forward to high plank. Press back into Downward Dog. And then float forward to a high plank. Knees can come down or stay raised, but with control, lower yourself down. Tops of the feet to the mat. Take your hands, interlace them, stretch. Maybe peel up through the chest and the legs. Keep your core engaged. And relax back down. Bring your hands beside your low ribs. Curl your toes under and bring yourself back either into child's pose or tabletop or downward facing dog. So let's all of us take 4 breaths in the position that makes sense for you. Everybody's breathing in through the nose, out through the nose. I'm just going to switch sides here so I can face you guys. You guys still stay where you are. So, completing your 4 breaths. On your next inhale, left leg goes up in the air, bend the knee open. Step your foot up between your hands. Come down on your right heel. Bring yourself up. Warrior Two. This time it's on the left side. I've flipped my direction, but you guys are still facing in the same direction. I'm just trying to face you the whole time. So your left leg is bent. You should be able to see your left big toe. Holding here, nice big breath. Warming up the legs, feeling like you're tearing the mat away from you're tearing it. Flip your palm, sweep back away from the bent knee. You can take your right arm and drape it behind your back if you'd like. Keep that bend, don't lose the bend. Nice big breath. Open up the left side of the body here. Let's come back into Warrior Two. We're going to take our left arm, rest it on the front thigh. Right arm reaches over the ear. Open up your ribs towards the ceiling. Remember, you can take less weight out of this arm. Have it, just very lightly just resting on your thigh. Nice big breath. And then we'll come all the way back up. Warrior Two. And then windmill your hands either side of the front foot, stepping back into downward facing dog, floating forward to a high plank, back into downward dog. Float forward, high plank. You're really using your abdominal strength here, your core strength to move like this. One more time, come forward to a high plank, knees up or down, arms snuggled in close to the body as you lower yourself down. Tops of the feet to the mat. Take your hands again, interlace them, stretch, peel up through your chest, float up through your legs if you'd like, and relax back down. Bring your hands beside your low ribs, curl your toes under, bring yourself back, wide knees child's pose, or downward facing dog. So let's take 5 breaths, just recharging. If you need a little release on your wrists, roll them out. It's all good, like from child's pose, obviously. Maybe you need to fix your hair. Maybe you need to grab a sip of water. All of these things are good. Okay, so let's join again in downward facing dog. We're going to go through that again, but it's going to be a little bit faster this time. Let's take our right leg, reach it up in the air, bend the knee open. Step your foot up between your hands, coming up into Warrior Two. Flip your right palm, sweep back away from the bent knee. Come back into Warrior Two. Take your right arm, rest it on the front thigh. If you want a little bit more, take your bottom arm and scoop it forward. Rely on your core and your legs. Come all the way back, warrior two. Windmill your hands either side of the front foot, step back into a high plank, press back, downward dog. Float forward, high plank, press back, downward dog. Float forward, high plank, press back, downward dog. And then, if you'd like, float forward, high plank, lower yourself down. This time, tops of the feet to the mat. Inhale into cobra. From cobra, curl your toes under. Downward facing dog. Resting here in child's pose, tabletop, or downward dog. Let's take 3 more breaths. Nice big deep breaths, breathing lots of oxygen in through your nose, releasing out through your nose, sending oxygenated blood to your muscles. When you are ready, we are going to join again in downward dog and take your left leg, reach it up in the air, bending the knee open. Step your foot up between your hands, planting down through your right heel, coming up, warrior two. Flip your palm, sweep back away from the bent knee. Come back into warrior two. Take your left arm, rest it on the front thigh. Right arm reaches over the ear. If it makes sense, you want more challenge, take that bottom arm, scoop it forward. Come back into warrior two. Windmill your hands either side of the front foot, if you'd like, to press back into downward dog. Float forward to a high plank. Press back into downward dog. Float forward to a high plank. One more time. Press back to downward dog. Float forward to high plank. And then if you'd like, lower down with control in your chaturanga, your tricep push-up. Inhale, cobra. From cobra, curl your toes under. Downward facing dog. So again, your choice. Is it a good choice here to take child's pose? Maybe you're really liking downward facing dog today. Maybe you want to take another series of floating forward to a high plank and pressing back into downward dog. Go for it. Make it happen. Whatever it is, I'm hoping that everybody is feeling warmer. Okay, so let's take 2 more breaths. And then from here, we're going to come forward one more time into downward facing dog. I have a little bit of a surprise today. Come forward to a high plank. Bring your knees down. Come onto your forearms. You know what's coming, but what else would this be if this is not for a nice warming class? So you're in a forearm plank with your knees down, or alternating, lifting up one knee at a time, alternating. You can go even slower than what I'm doing. Or come into the full forearm plank. And we will hold this for not very long. It's going to be less than 31 seconds, but more than 0. And you know what? We're already like almost halfway there. So you are in whatever position that works for you. Maybe it's on your belly with your ear to the ground. That's good too. Let's stay here. We're going to count it down for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then let's make that happen coming down to the ground. If you're not there already, no judgment. You're here for yourself, right? Like I said, bring an ear to the ground. Give your hips a little shake. Just catch your breath. Let's turn to the opposite ear. And we'll come back to center. So your arms are in whatever they were in whatever position made sense. But now from here, I'd like you to stretch out your right arm, and we're going to roll onto our right side, and you're using your right arm as a pillow. You can bend it, make it into a more comfortable pillow. Your legs are bent, just to support you. So you, again, have a comfortable arm. Take your left hand, grab your left foot. We're just going to hang out here for a few moments and stretch into the thigh, into the hip flexor. So I have my bottom leg pretty bent. I do this because for some reason, I find this very hard to stay balanced. If I straighten out my leg, I'm going to roll forward. So you do what makes sense for you. I know lots of people can keep their bottom leg straight. How that feels. See if you're a person that has the balance or not. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But I have to keep my leg bent, and that's okay because we're focusing on the top leg. So you're in control of how much you're pulling your heel towards your buttock. If it's too much for your knee, you're going to soften. And then if you need a bit more, or if you just want to experiment with a bit more, imagine that you have a paintbrush on the end of your knee and start to do some circles in the air with reverse them. Do what range of motion is allowed, right? Like what your body's going to let you do. Don't be mad if this is not happening. See, I almost fell over even with my bent knee. They're falling over too. All right, we'll come all the way back. Let's just take last few seconds here. You can just really feel like you're pulling your left shoulder back. You're going to get a little bit of a stretch here in the upper left pec area, around the collarbones. You might even feel it up by your neck, just like drawing your arm back, pulling it back in the shoulder socket. And then very gently, because we've been holding the knee tightly in this position, we always want to come out of things carefully. Just release your leg, release your leg, release your leg, and just let it, you can bring it forward if you want, or just kind of shake it out, whatever feels good. So just a nice releasing stretch in your leg. So you guys can flip to the other side. I'm going to just flip this way so that I can keep watching all of you. So again, make the pillow with your arm, assess how you need to be with your legs. You're going to take your right hand, grab your foot, and start your stretch. See what feels good. For sure you're breathing in, breathing out. And like I said, you are in control of how deeply you are, pulling the ankle towards your butt. And if you want, reattach your paintbrush to your right knee this time, and we're going to start to do the circles. Keep breathing. Try to keep relaxing your neck. Resist the urge to sort of put pressure on your neck by lifting up your head. If you want to lift up your head, then make sure you support it. If you're doing the circles, let's reverse. And come back to just a few seconds here of one last big squeeze, and you're going to pull your right shoulder, like your right arm back. You're going to feel like you're retracting your shoulders back, and you're going to feel a stretch in your upper chest area. Again, maybe up into kind of the crook of your neck. Big stretch here. And very gently, we're going to release the leg, release the leg, release the leg. And then you can just kind of shake it out, take a recovery position. All right. So let's come around onto our bellies again. So you're just going to flip back onto your belly. I'm just going to make sure I'm kind of back at the top of my mat. Try not to confuse myself with my directions any more than I already get confused. Bring your hands beside your low ribs with the elbows bent. Curl your toes under. And let's bring ourselves up and back into a tabletop position just for a moment. And I want you to take a little baby cat, a kitten. Just take a little kitten. Round your back, soften into neutral. If you feel like you want to do that again, go for it. Take another little kitten. It's just a gentle cat. And then soften back into neutral. And then widen your knees, big toes touching, and bring yourself back into child's pose, which will also continue to bring your spine into flexion, but just not as dramatically as when we were taking cat. So from child's pose, take your right arm, thread it underneath the left. You can take your left arm and drape it behind your back, only if this gives you a better stretch. And then we're going to release. Let's switch sides. Left arm threads under. Right arm drapes behind your back. And release. And let's bring ourselves up to a seated position. I realized that I got carried away and oh my gosh, too many things. I'm not keeping this to 45 minutes. It's going to be 48 minutes long today, the class. Left leg is stretched out. Take your right leg and step it over. Let's twist towards the bent knee. Keep your spine nice and straight. Stretch into the belly, into the back. Pull your shoulders open. Keep your neck nice and soft. Breathe in deeply. Breathe out. Let's do 2 more breaths. And we'll come back to center. And we'll switch. Left leg steps over. Twisting towards the bent knee. Lift up nice and tall through the crown of your head. Get a good rinsing out of your back, of your belly, and of course in the left hip area, in your glute med. And we'll come all the way back to center. Let's release the leg, and we're going to fold forward in your nicest, your most preferred fold forward that you want, whatever you want to do here. Super rounded back, lots of bent knees, whatever makes sense for you. Maybe you want to keep a straighter back. Just release. And then we'll come back up. And then remember I was talking about the block earlier on, the block or the book. If you want, take the prop, place it at the bottom of your feet. Of course, your knees can be bent, right? That's okay, but you're going to do what makes sense. And then see how it feels to pull on it and to fold yourself in. So it's going to possibly feel like a deeper stretch than what you were just doing. So really getting into the back of your body, maybe the back of your legs as well. But just try it out. Give it a try. Knees are bent or straight, whatever makes sense. You can keep your abdominal muscles engaged as well to help support the back. Big breath in, big breath out. Let's do that one more time. Big breath in, big breath out. And then let's come back up, taking your prop with you. We're going to lie down onto our backs. Just ease yourself back and then bring your knees into your chest, rolling around on your back. You can keep your knees really wide apart in a modified happy baby position or come into happy baby. Let's take 2 more breaths in this position. And bring your feet back down to the ground. We're going to take our prop. Let's lift up our hips, and we're going to take the prop and place it underneath your tailbone. So it's the triangular bone at the base of your spine. It's not your low back, it's your tailbone. So it should feel comfortable. It shouldn't feel like it hurts. If it hurts, just remove it. And if you don't have a prop, that's okay. You can just stay like this with your knees bent or just stretch your legs out. And that's actually what we're going to do here. I'm going to give us kind of 3 things that we can do just as we close our practice. So you can stay like this in a supported bridge pose. You can elevate your legs. So we'll stay here for 3 more breaths. Actually, let's say 4 more breaths. I know this class is going longer. Okay, it's going to be a 50-minute yoga class today, not 45. 50. All right, last couple breaths here. Maybe you've rolled your ankles and squeeze and release your toes a little bit. Okay, so bringing your legs back down to the ground. So again, you can stay in supported bridge pose, or see how it feels to extend one leg forward at a time. This does not work for everybody. If you feel discomfort or twinging in your back, then it's not for you. Just go back into the bridge pose, the supported bridge pose. But some people actually like to even do this with both legs. It gives you a really big stretch on your belly, the tops of the legs. Just explore it. See if it's for you. So your hips are elevated. You're in kind of like this rainbow position, so to speak. If you like this, stay here a little bit longer. If not, you're not in it. And wherever we are all at, we're going to take 3 more breaths. And then if your legs are stretched out, walk them in so that you can lift your hips up and remove the prop. Let's come down to the ground. Let your back get now acclimatized to being flat. It's not lifted anymore. You're not elevated. So see how it feels to have that tailbone flat on the mat. You can stretch your legs out. The whole body is straight now. Maybe give the legs a little shake, and we're going to close with one more twist. Let's bend our right knee in. Left hand on the knee, bring your leg across the body. Stretch your arm away from you. Gaze towards the right hand. Take a big, big breath in. Exhaling out. Nice spinal twist just to release everything. Come all the way back. And we're going to bend the left knee in. Right hand on the knee. Across the body. Stretch your arm away from you. Big breath in. Big breath out. Come all the way back. Release your leg. Bring your arms over your head. Take a breath in and exhale it out through the mouth. Let's do that again. Like let that breath have a sound. It is stress releasing to do that. Let out anything that doesn't serve you. Maybe even a third time. And just let it all out. And then you can roll over to your right side, bringing yourself up into a comfortable seated position. Bring your hands to your heart. Close your eyes. Just take a moment to have gratitude for something in your world, whatever it is. Nothing is too small. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so grateful that you did, and we get to be connected in our community, and we get to warm up with our yoga flow. So thank you so much, and I hope you guys have a fantastic Saturday and weekend. Namaste. And just a quick thing I want to just add. I would love it if you go to my YouTube channel and you just subscribe. It takes nothing. It's easy, it's free, there's nothing you need to input. Just subscribe to my channel. I would love it if you do that. I would feel so grateful. And I'll be posting this class on my channel. And have a great weekend, everybody.